This is Bazaar Morning Call. Broadcasting live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios in Mumbai.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call. We are coming to you live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios. It's almost as if the last week rolled into this one because Saturday, of course, was working 2 hours of trade. And then we're back this Monday morning. And this is a 4-day week. I want to begin by saying that. Guys, hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Prashant. Good morning, Nigel. A 4-day week, so everyone's kicked. But also the market, right? I mean, it's been fabulous, the run that we've seen so far. And it looks like all the animal spirits are back. So let's see how today shapes up. But the bulls have it good.
Well, that's right. Good start to March. Let's see whether or not we can build on it. And Prashant, I know the last weekend we had a shorter one. But I'll give you some good news. 3 out of the next 4 weekends.
Last week was longer.
Last week was longer.
You said shorter one.
No, the ones that are coming, I'll give you some good news.
Oh, there are a couple of long weekends coming.
Out of the next 4, we have 3 long weekends.
Oh, nice.
So plan well. I've done that as well.
Oh, nice. As they say in office, I mean, we jokingly say, "Pehle rumal dal do."
Dal diya.
All right. Well, let's just quickly take a look at what things are stacked up like as we begin another trading session. You got a Saturday which was absolutely quiet and is expected to be quiet because institutional activity was absolutely missing. No FIs, no DIIs. It was all, of course, retail. So large flows were not there. So very quiet. And the changes on your screen. But this after the 350-point rally that we saw on Friday. I mean, in many ways, we basically will pick up from not where we left off on Saturday, but where we left off on Friday. And then you'll kind of react this morning also to what the US market, etc., did. The US, of course, was very strong on Friday. The S&P was up about 0.8%. The Nasdaq was up about 1.25%. So the full force of that only will be felt today, in any which way, given the fact that there was no institutional activity on those for those 2 hours on Saturday. Nasdaq Composite is closed at a new all-time high. That's a powerful indicator for what's happening in the US as well. The 10-year yield lost 7 basis points to about 4.18%. Remember, the last big data point that we got, of course, was the core PCE number. And while you may say that was in line with expectations, but I think it does, at the margin, puncture the sort of, the reasoning or the narrative that you eventually will get a kind of a soft landing. The fact is the core PCE showed that services inflation is still very, very sticky. The 6-monthly average for the core PCE is 2.5%. I mean, the Fed looks at that 6-month average pretty quickly. They want it down to 2. And it's accelerating. So I think, it bears watching. The dollar index was down about 0.28% at 103.86 or so. Now, just a couple of things as we look forward this week. So you have political news which will come out, and it's called the Super Tuesday. Will feature Republican Democratic primaries for the U.S. election. Most likely, it's essentially set up like a face-off between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. China's MPC is going to be important, especially for the commodity sector. Policies so far has been pretty impotent as far as China is concerned. It's not really grabbed the attention and turn things around. So especially on the fiscal side, can they do something? I think a lot of headlines perhaps will be watched on Wednesday. And of course, you've got lots of labor market data which is coming out this week. So JOLTS on Wednesday, jobless claims on Thursday. This is the weekly number. And of course, the big monthly jobs data on Friday. So, this is the lineup over the next couple of days. Not very much here out of India in terms of data. Of course, we got the GDP numbers last week. Now, just to circle back to levels, we are targeting 22,500. 538 is the exact level. These are Fibonacci extensions. So that's the first target which the market should get to, given the momentum that we saw last Friday. On the way down, recent low of 21,860 should not be broken. The point is we got such a large move on Friday that we've kind of left supports a little behind. Same is true for the Nifty Bank as well. The Bank Nifty rallied 2% plus. It outperformed the Nifty on that large day on Friday, and that's targeting 47,670 on the way up. The recent low, last week's low, is 45,661, which should not be broken in case there is a little bit of selling which starts to emerge once again. You're set up in a pretty good way. You got oil, which is well behaved. Yields are down. Dollar is down. Equities in the US are up. I mean, you can't complain. You can only complain about the fact that the market's done so well in such a short time span. GIFT Nifty is indicating of a 14 point higher start. Sonia.
Well, absolutely. I mean, there are no complaints at all. The momentum has been so strong in this market, right? If you map the last couple of days, and looks like the good trajectory is something that can continue. So here's what's happened, right? In the last 3 days alone, the Nifty has gained 450 points. And if you look at it from the 12th February low of 21,600, the Nifty is up 760 points already. There was large delivery buying in large caps on Friday. So whether you look at Reliance, HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, all these stocks saw about 1,000 crores of delivery buying apiece on Friday. Now, if you look at the global cues, very strong, as Prashant was also mentioning, the Nasdaq rallied to a record high. The Nikkei has smashed that 40,000 barrier. But what really stood out for me was Nvidia's performance. That is the big, headline in the last couple of days. The Nvidia stock actually closed 4% higher after Dell raised their forecast, their earnings forecast. And Dell sells high-end servers that are made with Nvidia's processors. So now Nvidia has a $2 trillion valuation. And it is now surpassed Saudi's Aramco to become the third largest company in the world. So lots happening in the global market. For our own markets, just a couple of things that I wanted to add. The NSE came out with data on Friday saying that the unique registered investors have now crossed 9 crores. And the latest 1 crore addition, which is from 8 to 9 crores, happened in just 5 months. That just showcases the kind of, movement that we're seeing in the equity cult. And the investor base has seen a tripling in the last 5 years. So that's very strong data coming in from the NSE on Friday. That's something that the street will take with both hands. In terms of individual stocks, I'm watching out for the defense companies today, names like HAL, L&T, etc. The Ministry of Defense has signed 5 major capital acquisition contracts with HAL, L&T and BrahMos Aerospace Limited. So keep an eye out on these stocks. Perhaps there could be some more traction there. But otherwise, there are no complaints in the market at all. This has been one hell of a rally and looks like it could continue.
Well, that's right, Sonia. And the Nifty has been making fresh all-time highs. But I think the key to track from here on is, can the Nifty Bank play catch-up, right? Because it's still 2.5% odd away from those fresh all-time highs. So from here on, if the Nifty needs to climb to mount 23,000 odd, then I think the Nifty Bank, that'll have to play a role in there, because that's still a relative underperformer in comparison to the Nifty. The other trigger that I'll be looking at is, can the month of March be better for the larger cap names in comparison to the mid cap stocks? And we saw a tinge of that, play out, because in the last week or so, the last 1 month, you've seen that actually the Nifty has outperformed what the mid cap index has done. The last 1 year, the story is very different, because the broader markets have done much better. So let's see towards the end of the year whether you'll see the large cap boys, well, they're pulling a great amount of money, and maybe a relative underperformance from the mid-cap names, because also they're sitting on big money. So there could be some large HNIs, some treasury books that will take some money off the table. How the FI is positioned? They're net short yet again, but not very, very aggressively. So they have close to around 65% of their positioning on the short side. And in terms of absolute contracts, it's around 60,000 contracts. That's more or less in the middle. They've not gone to that 100,000 odd, when normally you'll say buy the Nifty when they're aggressively net short. What are the levels we're looking at? I was looking at the options data, and the 22,000 put, well, that has the highest open interest on the put side. Premiums roughly around the 35-40 rupees odd. So which brings us to the levels. 20 DMA, that's the first reference point, closer around the 22,000 odd mark. And going by the options data, you'll want to believe that in the near term, this is the crucial support, 21,950 to around 22,000. On the Nifty Bank, well, fresh all-time highs is still a distance away, close to around 2.8% away. So you'll want to keep an eye out on that mark. In the near term, I'll look at the 47,500, which is just around 200, 300 points away from current levels, because the last time around we reversed from here. And the 50 DMA, that's the mark which we crossed last week. The stock that I'm looking at for the month of March is UPL. Will it make a near-term bottom? And I say this because the street was bracing for it to get excluded from the Nifty. That's happened. Point number one. So there'll be some outflows out there. But in Friday's trading session, you saw a fair bit of delivery-based buying in percentage terms as well as in absolute terms. It was higher than what we have seen on an average for the last 10 sessions or so. So that's another factor. Maybe some of those outflows already taking place and some of those adjustments already taking place. And technical levels I'm looking at, the recent low is at around that 450 odd mark. So you don't want that to break. And it ended closer around the 20 DMA. So UPL, that's the stock I'll be tracking for the remainder of March. Can it make a near-term bottom? Keep an eye out on that one.
Okay, thanks a lot, Nigel, for that. Well, lots of stocks in focus as well. As Nigel said, UPL is something we'll track Also, in a bit, we'll get our top 10 segment. We're looking at NTPC, Info Edge, Godrej Properties, Signature Global, Swan Energy, PSP Projects, KPI Green, and SJVN that are on our radar on the back of positive news flow, and Inox Wind and Suzlon Energy on the back of negative news flow.